Do I get to see the people come on, or is that just on the admin side?
It's probably just on the admin side, but you'll see the chat. You should be able to see the chat, or I can control the chat for you. It's also posted on YouTube, so because sometimes they come on here, but they prefer to watch it on YouTube, so I give them the option.
Ah, gotcha. If they are on YouTube, can they chat with us or no?
They could probably chat through here if they wanted to, because some people have both screens open.
Gotcha.
But we have some people coming in here, so I'm going to open it up. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pro Seller Talk. This is a special afternoon edition with Jeff Cohen, my good friend from Seller Labs. Jeff is very, very busy. It's very tough to get Jeff to come on these webinars. So, yeah, as you know, this is a very early webinar for me. I normally do them about 7 o'clock Eastern time. This is an earlier one. We do appreciate you guys coming on here. And Jeff has some awesome information that he's going to be sharing with us today. So I'm going to introduce you to Jeff Cohen, my good friend. And hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Doing great, John. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Great to see some of the names in the attendee list, some people I have not talked to in a long time. You know, I do attend quite a few conferences, so it's good to see some names. Hey, Bob, how are you? I know I haven't seen you in a long time. We have not connected at a show in a while. So let me kind of throw into if you're on the webinar and you're in the chat, throw out in the chat kind of where you're at, so I can kind of see where some different people are from. It's good to kind of know where you guys are working from. I live in Chicago. It's about 10 degrees below zero today. So actually, John looks like he's colder than I am. So
Not really. I had my heart attack about a year ago, so I got blood thinners, so my warehouse doesn't get too warm, so I got to stay warm.
Yeah. So it's great to be on here today. We're going to cover kind of a couple of different topics. We're going to kind of jump around a little bit. I really want this to be interactive. Oh, I see there. Bob, I know you're up in Maryland. Susan, welcome from northern New York. I think you have this cold weather heading your way. North Carolina, Atlanta, Washington. Great. It's great to see all you guys. Thanks for coming out. I like to be here during the day just because I prefer to spend my evening with my family. So I appreciate you guys coming on, and we should be ready to rock and roll and get started. You ready, John?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Awesome. So I'm going to move to a screen share here.
I'm going to put me on mute so we don't hear the phones from my office.
All right, hold on. I'm just trying to figure out how to get the screen share to show up here correctly. Oh, that's me again. All right, hold on. Try it one more time.
Yeah, well, you're figuring that out. This is one of the very first times I'm actually doing a webinar from my office. I usually do them from home at night.
It's not letting me do it. Give me 1 second. I got to figure out why one's going into presentation mode, but then it's not showing you guys the right version. So
you hit the screen share thing up there, right? The green arrow.
No. I'm getting to that, but it's moving into presentation mode, and it's not letting me pull the right screen up. So everyone just hang on so I can figure out. It's not wanting to give you the I got the way to do it. Hold on. I just got to unplug my second monitor and then it'll work.
I actually saw it a little while ago. You had it up on the screen.
Yeah, it was the wrong screen though.
Okay.
All right. So here's what we're going to, you can see everything now, John?
I see a black screen.
So now it's doing that. All right,
Now I see it.
but when I hit play, you're not seeing it, right?
Right now it says looking forward 2017. Get your questions answered. That's what I see.
All right, perfect, great. Okay, so we're going to cover 3 topics today. I apologize for the technical difficulty in getting started there. We're going to cover 3 topics today. John, I can't see the chat window, so feel free to cut me off if there's questions. Be happy to answer them along the way or at the end of the presentation. For those of you that have never met me, my name is Jeff Cohen. I am on the executive team at Seller Labs. I'm been in the e-commerce business for over 14 years, including the creation of the retail website textbooks.com. So I've been on both the retail side of the business, I've been on the affiliate side of the business, and I've been a seller in the business, and now I work and help run a software company in the business. So I've kind of been from all different sides of the equation and travel a lot to meet with a lot of Amazon sellers across the world. And today I just want to share with you some of the information that we've picked up from some of the recent conferences that we've been at, including one in China where Amazon had about 6 of their global executives speak. If you're not familiar with Seller Labs, we are a software company. We were started as Amazon sellers. We were doing around $4 million a year retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. We were buying at USPS auction. We were doing liquidation, kind of developed some software to run our business and spun that out to be a full-blown software company. Today, we work with over 10,000 Amazon sellers, and our sellers will probably do close to $4 billion by the time 2016 ends. Our 3 softwares that you're probably aware of is Feedback Genius, Snagshout, and Scope. We're not really here to talk about these today. But if you are a customer of ours, we thank you for your business. If you'd like to give us a try, we'll have a special offer at the end. Today, I really want to talk about Amazon into the future. Right? When we look at Amazon, we really want to look ahead, not behind, because Amazon is always looking ahead in everything that they're doing. And it's important to understand where Amazon is going, because the past and the trends of the past always seem to predict the future. So before we started, John and I were talking about one of them in particular, which is the increase in storage fees at Amazon. And Amazon just released, I think, a couple days ago, the new storage fees for 2017, and again they've increased their price. And this shouldn't be a shock to anybody. Maybe the number's a shock, but the fact that they increased their price shouldn't be a shock, because we've now seen this 2 or 3 years in a row. And so as we look at the past, we're able to predict the future a little bit. And we're also able to glean a bit from what Amazon is sharing when they do publicly speak. And so the one thing that people have to realize is that when Amazon does talk, it is scripted. Everything goes through their PR and their legal department. And so you're only going to get the information they want you to hear. But it was pretty neat to be at this conference. There were about 3,500 sellers in China at this conference, and had the opportunity to collect some information. I wanted to share that with you. The one thing that's for certain as we look to the future of Amazon is that we're expecting more growth. And as we look to 2017 and beyond, you can see through this chart that in every major country that Amazon has a presence, they rank within the top 10 of the Alexa ranking for website use, right? So Google is across the board number 1 on all of them, but the top shopping site in every country is Amazon, which means Amazon's traffic is going to continue to grow. Amazon's global strength is going to continue to grow. And the opportunities for us as sellers is going to continue to grow because more and more eyeballs are being brought directly to our products and to their platform. And this is not really going to change. Yeah.
They're saying that they only see you and not the I see your presentation fine. I'm looking at it, but from what I'm getting in the chat, they're saying the chart not showing, only your picture. So
My
they're
picture.
on, yeah, some of them are on YouTube. But if you go to YouTube, all you have is the black screen with your circle of just your picture.
So it's frozen.
On YouTube, it looks like that's what it's doing on YouTube. I'm trying to see.
The Alexa ranking for website use, right?
Yep,
So
it looks like it's behind.
It says no chart is being shown, Jonathan. No chart, David.
I don't know if I know how to fix that.
I don't understand why I'm seeing it though. I can see your chart fine. Not seeing the chart, Susan. Chart. Bob, it looks like Don says see it now.
Yeah, I think it's just got a delay coming to it.
Jonathan says now it's showing, so it may have a delay.
Yeah.
All right, so I would just, yeah, they say I'm seeing it now, so I would just continue since it's seeing it, but it says more growth. Is that what you have on there?
Yep, that's where we're at.
Okay. Up. Now the chart is gone. Gone again. I don't know what's happening to that, but they're saying now the chart is gone.
They're saying it's just a blank screen.
What are you guys seeing right now? Are you seeing a blank? Now seeing more growth. Now the chart going, now seeing more growth. So I guess they're seeing the chart again. I'll monitor it while you're talking and see. It says I still have it, so I just keep going.
Okay.
And if there's any other, I'll let you know.
Maybe I'll stay out of maybe I'll stay out of slide presentation mode and just stay in this mode, even though I have this kind of stuff on the side here. That might be messing it up. Is the slide presentation mode.
Yeah, normally if you take the slide presentation mode and just put the bigger screen on and just flip this, it seems to work good. I have had other guests do that.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that, but we'll just kind of keep it where it's at. And
yeah, it says see his presentation page. Yes, keep as is.
Okay. Cool. We'll leave it like that. Okay. Not the best, but we'll make it work, right? All right.
Okay.
Great. So what we're seeing in here, for those that didn't catch it, was we're really seeing the opportunity that Amazon has globally. And this is going to continue to grow in this manner. It's really scary for us to think that the internet is still at its infancy, but it really is, right? So the joke I like to make is that, Al Gore invented the internet about 20 years ago, and we've all just kind of grown, from it, right? And we as humans, as digesters of content on the internet, have changed our behaviors. And we started these behaviors by really going to the internet and shopping for brands that we were aware of from the physical world, right? So we would go to the internet and we would look for Coca-Cola. And then we kind of took that to the next step and we said, okay, well, I don't want to look at Coca-Cola. I actually want soda. And so we started searching for soda. And if you remember back in the day of the internet, you used to just be able to type right into the URL bar the word soda or textbooks or bubblegum, and you would go to a website. Well, now if you do that, you're actually taken to search, right? So search kind of drives everything on the web. And what's happened is that we have created our own homes on the internet. And so if I want to travel, I go to kayak.com. if I want to get a car rental, I go to carrental.com. If I want to get a hotel, I go to hotels.com. But everybody on this webinar probably goes to different places for those things because they've created a relationship with the people that they connect with. And the largest purveyor of that from the shopping arena is Amazon, which is evident by this chart. And so we don't look for products anymore. We go to Amazon to look for products. And so 2/3 of product searches that occur on the internet now start at Amazon. And that's crazy, right? And there's other things we can learn from this chart because look at YouTube. So that's why John is recording this and also publishing this on YouTube, because look how big YouTube is. And so if we can actually get momentum for our product on YouTube, we can drive a lot of sales, right? In the same way that we can if we can get onto Google or if we can get onto Amazon. So this kind of shows us where Amazon's at and where we're at with taking our businesses. All right. It's not letting me go to my next slide. So, so the other thing that we're seeing within all of this is this massive expansion within Amazon, and Amazon is really dictating how this global marketplace is working. And what's really interesting, if you look at this chart, which came from the conference, is really kind of like where Amazon is going, right? So not just where Amazon has been, but where Amazon is going. And so we see Australia on here, and they don't currently have a warehouse facility in Australia. We see Brazil on here, and they don't really have a warehouse facility yet in Brazil. And obviously, you know, China, Japan, India are keys to this international expansion. And the success of an Amazon seller in the future is not just going to be their ability to drive sales on a single channel on Amazon, but their ability to grow within all of Amazon's channels. And if you as a seller are really kind of thinking about the global perspective from the beginning, you can really take advantage of this. And so while the US market is the largest market for Amazon and for e-commerce, when you collectively look at all of the other markets, you're leaving a rather significant portion of the total sales available out there on the table. And so you can look at expanding your business, and we'll talk about it in two ways. You can look at expanding your business outside of Amazon in the US, right? Going to a Shopify store or building a presence through other channels, or you can look at expanding within Amazon's ecosystem. And so if you're a seller and you have private label, you've probably gotten letters from them saying that you can list your products in Canada, you can list your products in Mexico, and so they kind of make it really easy for you to just kind of one click add your products to other channels. One of the big things we saw going on at the conference, and it's obviously a big discussion that we're all having as sellers, is the idea of brand protection. And Amazon, what they shared at the conference was that in 2017, they're moving to a system called Amazon Brand Central. And they haven't exactly defined what Amazon Brand Central is, but they are now kind of seeing the Brand Central as the hub, the central hub for where everything related to a brand is going to exist. And what they're looking to do with their Brand Central identifier is really give you as the brand owner the ability to do brand registry, which a lot of us are aware of, to register trademarks and patents, as well as to file your inauthentic claims. And if you are selling private label, or even if you're selling RA and OA, these are very important things for you to be thinking about, because with Amazon, everything really exists and runs around the consumer. And if the consumer feels that they're getting inauthentic products from you, then Amazon has this mentality where they, shut you down and ask questions later. And I know, John, you and I were kind of talking about this a bit before we went live, in that, Chinese sellers are hijacking your listing, and they're, basically putting inauthentic products against your listing. And one of the best ways to get a hijacker off of your listing is to actually make an inauthentic claim against their seller account, because Amazon is hyper sensitive to inauthentic claims. And so anything that Amazon believes is inauthentic, they're going to rush to protect the brand. And so if you have brand registry, and if you've shared additional information with Amazon, and you have inauthentic claims against other sellers, Amazon's going to shut them down and take action against them rather quickly. That's in addition. That's in relation to what you as a seller can do, which is, as a seller, you have to buy your competitor's product, you have to receive that product, and then you have to bring that product to Amazon's attention and ask them to make a change. So it's kind of a little bit of a way to kind of jump through some of the hoops a little bit faster. John, you did bring up the risk of selling or buying against your Prime account, the inauthentic claims. So, don't go and necessarily buy thousands of units of their product, but it is a way to protect yourself. And we do see this as a very, very strong message that Amazon will continue to send throughout the new year. Amazon is all about innovation, and the gentleman that you can see on the screen, his name is Eric Boussard, and he's one of the VPs for Amazon, and he was speaking at this conference, and what he said was that Amazon's job is to invent on behalf of the customer. And what is really important to kind of take away from this is that Amazon considers themselves inventors, and they're constantly trying to innovate what they're doing to stay ahead of the curve. One of the examples they gave at the conference that kind of blew my mind away was that Amazon uses so much energy from their AWS facilities. So if you're not familiar with AWS, that's the Amazon Web Services. They use so much energy at those services that they are building their own wind farms outside of those services to generate their own energy. So this is how Amazon thinks in terms of driving down its cost, its processes, making it a better customer experience. And Amazon's going to continue to innovate. So what does that mean for you as a seller? It means you need to understand how Alexis works. If you don't have an Echo or a Dot or one of the Alexa-driven devices, you should probably get one. You should understand how voice recognition search is done and how your product ranks on it. It's a big part of Amazon's bet for the future. They want to make it as easy for a consumer to make a purchase as possible. And understanding how that technology works is going to be driving sales in the future. And your choice is to either let the future predict what you do, or for you to predict the future. And so that's really what you want to be looking at: Amazon's innovations and understanding what they find important, and understanding how you as a seller need to adapt your business based on those changes. So the ultimate question: what can you do about these things, right? So Amazon is telling us that international is big. Amazon is telling us that brand protection is important. Amazon is telling us that innovation is key, but what can you do? I have a couple tips. One, follow Amazon's rules. Typically, if somebody gets suspended, if you dig deep enough, they did something to break Amazon's rules. Nobody is, totally, above the system. And if you're breaking the rules, you will get caught and you will get your account suspended. And so understand what risk you're taking anytime you break a rule, and understand what the rules are, because ignorance of the rules is not an excuse. And Amazon actually made that very clear in July of this year, because they came out with a policy change, and the policy change was very simple. And it said that you're responsible for anybody that you give access to your account. And so you can't say, well, I gave somebody access to my account and they did that and I didn't know what they were going to do. Your job as a seller is to know Amazon's rules and know whether you're following them or not. Look at going international. Maybe international is just, North America. Maybe it's Europe. Maybe it's Japan. Japan is one of the fastest growing e-commerce sites for Amazon. But understand what international means. Understand that means you need to have bilingual in your instructions, in your packaging, in your email follow-up chains and things like that. And if that makes sense to you, consider international as a way to grow your business. Explore new things that Amazon's doing. So Amazon has a business unit called Amazon Business. Amazon Business allows businesses and corporations to essentially have a free version of Prime that allows them to buy products. And you can actually, as a seller, you can list your products in Amazon Business, and you can have different pricing in Amazon Business. So for example, let's say you sell bed sheets. Well, if you're selling on Amazon.com, you're typically going to sell 1, maybe 2 sets of bed sheets to a customer. But if you're selling on Amazon Business and your bed sheets take off, you could sell to a hotel that's going to buy 200 sets of bed sheets. So there's not a cost to join Amazon Business. There's a little bit of an extra administrative work on your end to launch your products on Amazon Business, but your products will not show up on Amazon Business unless you actually sign up for it. If you're launching a new product, if you're actually innovating a new product, so that was something John and I were talking about earlier too, you're not just private labeling and sticking a sticker on a product, but you're actually making a product better. You can look at Amazon Launchpad. That is kind of their way of launching new brands and new products into the market. There is a slightly larger fee to be on Amazon Launchpad. I think it's 20% instead of 15%. But it does provide a lot of extra exposure. I do know some people that have gone on Amazon Launchpad and they've applied to get a second account so that only their Launchpad products are on that one account and their other products are on another account because of the extra fee. But again, Amazon has these sub-communities within their main community, and you might be able to do better with your product in one of these communities than you are in a different one. Consider growing off of Amazon. Consider ways to start building your own email list, your own shopper list. It changes the dynamics of how you do business because you're actually looking to acquire a customer, not just a sale. And so you want to do a lot more things to kind of make that customer happy and to work with that customer over time. And so growing off of Amazon is definitely a way to potentially grow your business. There was one continued theme that we heard while we were at the conference. And it's one that I'd never heard at Amazon before, but it's called Day One. And Amazon looks at everything and they put their energy where they believe day one is, right? So in their mind, a great example would be that like day one is at contract manufacturing, building brands. It doesn't mean that RA and OA is dead, which we'll get into in a second, but it does mean that Amazon in their future is on contract manufacturers and brands. And so Jeff Bezos, they shared a quote from Jeff. He was not at the conference, but they shared a lot of quotes from him. And this one, it really seemed to ring true, which is that it's easier to invent than predict the future. And so if you're trying to predict the future, you're trying to understand, you're trying to guess what the future is going to be, there's a good chance you could be wrong. But if you're trying to invent and you're trying to innovate and you're trying to drive your business forward, then you'll actually create a better future for yourself. So we're going to jump into the RAOA question, and it's one that gets debated by people that are much smarter than me. but it's one that I think plays into this overall story, because when we look at RAOA, it's not at day one. And that's what I basically tell people, is that the question for me is not, is RAOA dead? It's just that it's not where Amazon sees its future going. And when Amazon looks towards its future, you want your business to be more for where Amazon is going than where Amazon has been. And so there's nothing wrong with RAOA. I'm not a believer that like you should dump your business and move on to something else. I think there's still opportunities within RAOA, but as you're looking to grow your business long-term over time, you want to be looking at other avenues. And so I kind of broke it down to, I guess, my 5 points on retail arbitrage. And what I'm seeing is that, like, if you need to be able to prove the authenticity of your product, and that's very critical. And if you can't prove the authenticity of your product, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so that means that stores like TJ Maxx and Marshalls are not where you should be doing online arbitrage from, because you can't create a chain of command to prove that the product you have is authentic, because you don't know where they're buying their products from, right? So they're basically a liquidation shop. That's essentially what they are. And so you need to realize that, and realize that type of purchase is going to be more risky. You need to be looking at, the fact that your retail receipts may not be enough. There are stories right now, I guess, that are out there that people are being suspended and retail receipts are not enough for them to get back online. Amazon has not come out and said that if you don't have receipts, you'll be suspended. They've not come out and said that receipts are bad. It's just that we're seeing some different cases, and as a seller, you should be aware. Bundling has gotten significantly harder. I know a lot of sellers have done really, really well with bundling, but bundling has gotten a lot harder in the grand scheme of retail and online arbitrage. That was, with the change of the barcode system, as well as the branding and the connection of brands, to some of your bundles. We're also starting to see more stores restrict sellers. So stores are actually coming out with policies that are flat out telling people you cannot do retail arbitrage at our store. And then we're clearly seeing more and more restrictions at the brand level. So again, I'm not a believer that RAOA is dead. I just basically say it's not Amazon's future. And so if we as a seller want to be kind of looking at what our future is, we should be aligning our future ultimately with Amazon and what it sees as its future. And so, again, play by the rules, assess your risk, understand how much risk you have, and whether you're okay with that. And ultimately, play by Amazon's rules and know what you're getting yourself into. That's probably the best way to sum up the RAOA question. So I'll kind of pause for a second and see if anybody has any specific questions on anything I've covered up to this point, and if not, we'll jump into the next question.
I'm not seeing anything yet, Jeff, for questions. I kind of lost you for a little bit and had to come back online. We had a power thing happen here, but it seems like you kept going. So I was asking anybody else if they lost you, but I didn't see anybody say anything.
Okay. Yeah, the chat room's been quiet. So hit me up and let me know if you guys are still listening, and if this is all kind of making sense to you.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
All right, sounds good. Maybe it's the mid.
You there? I think you just popped out too.
Yeah, it just kicked me out. Google Hangouts sometimes, huh?
Yeah, I never had this issue during the at nighttime like I'm having today. It's like you're getting popped out. I got popped out.
All right, so I saw one question come in before Lou's question. So if you can tell me what that was, I'd be happy to go back to it. But Lou, his question was, so where do you acquire authentic products to satisfy Amazon's rules? That's a really good question. And the answer is you got to develop wholesale relationships. So if you have wholesale relationships, you're almost always within Amazon's terms of service. So, you know, what Amazon doesn't want is they don't want inauthentic claims. And so the challenge that you have is that if you, the more risky your product is, the bigger chance you have of inauthentic claims. So I'm going to use an example, and I always like to tell people, think of the process, not the product. But if you're buying Legos and you have a good quality set of Legos and it's an unopened box and you're not commingling inventory, you're probably going to be okay. But if you're doing something like Nike or NFL gear or something that people have a tendency to claim inauthentic claims on, then you're probably going to get in more trouble. And so there are definitely brands that are higher risk than other brands, and there's definitely brands that are just flat out restricted. And I think that all in all, like as a seller, if you can build wholesale relationships, that's a great way to kind of move forward and protect your business. Let's see, there was one other, when Amazon has a restriction on something and says if you are provided invoices, but also says they want 1K, is that going to Amazon or to the company in question? Don, I don't know specifically the answer to the question that you're asking me. So I would need a little bit more information. My guess is if Amazon is asking you for $1,000 to prove your ability. So I got it now, Don. You're asking, so under Amazon's new brand restrictions, they're allowing you to apply to be able to sell that product, and they're charging you for that. In all honesty, I don't know who gets that money. My guess is it's going to Amazon, and they're using that as a way to deter people from registering, because if they didn't put a price on it, everybody would just try to register. But by putting a price on it, they're going to kind of scare away the people that if you're not doing enough business, it's not worth your while. So that's just my own guess at how that policy works and what that policy is. But I don't know specifically who gets the money. Okay, so we're going to jump back in here. We're going to cover private
Jeff,
label. Well, go ahead. Can you ask me that one more time? Ask me that one more time.
David has a question. Is wholesaling next to become hindered?
Well, I wish that I was Nostradamus and I could tell you what's next. I believe if you have strong wholesale relationships, I don't see how it would be at as much risk as retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. If you have the permission from the vendor to be selling the products, and that's a relationship that you have documented, Amazon, their goal is not to restrict sellers on the platform. I know it seems like that's what their goal is, but that's ultimately not what their goal is. Their goal is to make sure that the products they're selling to the customers are the products the customers are intending to get. And so,
yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Okay. Let's see. Got another question from, where do you acquire authentic products? Is that
Yeah, I think I got most of those questions that are already in the chat there. So
are you seeing those questions already you've answered?
yeah. I'm going
All
to
right.
jump
I told
back
you I
into the
lost you for a while.
presentation
I'm trying to
here.
catch up.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back into the presentation here, and then I'm happy to answer any questions at the end and stay on as long as you all need until supper's served, all right? So the big question that everybody is asking themselves is private label for me? And I have two ways really that I answer that question. Well, one question that's asked to me is, do I need to do private label? And my simple response to do I need to do private label is no, you don't. If private label does not interest you, don't do it. If the cost or the risk is not something that's within your tolerance level, don't do it. I'm never a believer that you should just be doing things because that's what is happening, right? And so you have to really determine for yourself if private label is right for you, and then if it is, how you want to go about doing it. And so depending on where you're at in your journey, where you're at in your sales, it may or may not work for you. And there's no reason to get into it if it's something you're not comfortable with. You shouldn't just do it because it's the hip, trendy things to do. And so there are other things besides private label that you can do, such as wholesale. If you're looking to kind of diversify away from a retail arbitrage and online arbitrage business. But let's talk about why private label does work and why it is something that you should consider, and why it works. So the traditional selling model, right? The traditional model by which consumers acquire products is the one that you see on your board. And traditionally, every one of these is taking a piece of the pie. And so there's a cost that the exporter pays from the manufacturer, and the importer buys from the exporter, and the wholesaler purchases, and then the retailer purchases, and then the consumer purchases. And what Amazon's been able to do is create an ecosystem that cuts out a significant number of these pieces. And so today you have the manufacturer who is working for a contract manufacturer, but that contract manufacturer is also his own importer, his own importer, his own wholesaler, and he's giving it to Amazon as the retailer. And you have to remember that contract manufacturing is nothing new, right? And we keep calling it private label, but it really is contract manufacturing. And contract manufacturing is no different than what North Face does, Patagonia does, Nike does, right? So these companies, these brands, they don't own their own manufacturing facilities. They contract with manufacturers across the world to make products on their behalf. Apple contract manufactures with Foxconn. It's been very well documented. And so as a seller, we can actually create these exact same relationships. So the first time I was in China, I met with a backpack manufacturer. And when I was talking to the owner of the manufacturing facility, he was telling me that his backpacks were being purchased by North Face, Patagonia, Osprey, REI. He sells to all the big name brands in the world. And he's created his own brand of backpacks. And he showed me one of his backpacks, and I was holding it in my hands, and I was thinking to myself, holy cow, this backpack's amazing. Like, it has every bell and whistle that a top backpack has. And I said to the guy, I said, what's my price on this backpack? And he said, it's $15. Did we lose everybody? Can you guys still see my screen? because I've lost John on this whole adventure, and I want to make sure you guys are still there because it says I'm live. All right, great. So you guys are there. We're just losing John. So John's the one having trouble. And so we'll just kind of keep going here. But
yeah, I'm continuing to have trouble.
Yeah, you're continuing to have trouble, and then it looked like I was having trouble. So I just wanted to make sure, but everyone's seeing me, so I'm just going to keep going. Thank you guys for sticking around. So this contract manufacturer shows me the backpack, and he tells me that the backpack is $15. And I said, how much do you retail that for? And he said $30. And this $30 retail backpack is the same backpack that you or I would walk into an REI store for and pay $130. And so, you know, I could become a backpack manufacturer at that point in time, or a contract manufacturer. And I could use this guy, and I could tell this guy what I want to do to make my product better than the other products that are out there. And a lot of times we then become this competition, right? We become this competition of like, can I beat these other people? And that's where you look for the niches in the market, right? The golden gaps in the market where somebody is not doing as good of a job. They don't have as good of a product. They're not marketing it as well on Amazon. And that's where the opportunity really begins to show itself to you as a seller. And so as this model gets flipped on its head, and Amazon has made this super easy. I mean, think about it. Like, think about it today. Like, you don't have to have a warehouse. I mean, you could use a third-party logistics warehouse, but you don't have to. And you can sell your products to people all over the country, and the shipping's done for you. And so as you're making your own products and you're able to cut these pieces out, you're able to innovate. And so we look to other examples in the space to really determine the success of the market and what we need to do to be successful. And one of the ones that a lot of people point to is a company called Anchor. And Anchor's got a great story if you don't know it. They were former Google guys. They all live in China. And they really understood the Google algorithm. And from the understanding of the Google algorithm, they basically figured out how to win on Amazon. And what the guys at Anchor say is that reviews are critical to their process. And so what they're doing is they're using reviews to identify consumer needs. And so what Anchor did that was so magical was Anchor went and they looked at all the reviews of electronic products, and they determined what products were not being made. Because people sit there within their reviews and they complain and they tell you what they need. And if you read enough of those reviews, you can actually create an innovative product which serves the market's needs, and it's right there being told to you. So if I was to go read a couple hundred reviews on backpacks, and I start with 1 reviews and I work my way up, I would be able to find exactly what everybody hates about the backpacks that are currently in the marketplace, and I would then be able to generate my own private label backpack that I could bring in and sell on Amazon that meets all the needs of the people that can't be met. And so from this, I've always said that like there's no silver bullet to winning on Amazon, right? It requires hard work. But I did figure out a magic formula. And the magic formula was really simple. And when it hit me, it was kind of like, yeah, that's it, man. That is the magic formula. And the formula is simple. You need to make a better product, and you need to have better value, and you'll win on Amazon. And you notice that I don't say anything about price. I say value. And so if I have a better product and it actually gives more value, I can charge more than my competitors. If I have a better price and if I have a better product and I can actually have a better price, you can give value in 2 different ways, right? So I can give you the same product at a better price, and that's a better value, or I can give you a better product at a different price, and that's value. And that's what wins on Amazon. That's what wins in private label. So it's not about sticking your brand on a product. It's about innovating a product, making that product better, meeting and exceeding customers' expectations, and then delivering upon those expectations. And so that's why, if that is something that excites you, if that is something that is of interest to you, then going down the journey of learning how private label works and understanding what private label can do for you is is a next step that you could take. And so I didn't want to get into all the steps for private label and what to do and how to do it and things like that, because I think that's another whole workshop in its own. But I wanted to kind of touch on where Amazon is going in its future, where a lot of you guys are today, and what some of your options are for moving forward. So I would love to connect with you. I am on Facebook and LinkedIn. That's my pretty mug, and you can use that to find me on either of those channels. We did create a special landing page, sellerlabs.com/proseller, where you can get a free trial for some of Seller Labs software, both Feedback Genius and Scope. And I'd love to stick around and answer a few more questions. So if you have some, please let me know. I would love to see in the chat how you feel about this presentation. If I've given you some value, give me a thumbs up, let me know. If there's something that I haven't touched on that you were really hoping that I would, please mention that in the chat as well. So let's see. Questions. Let's see. David had one. Says, I was told by somebody I respected and who is respected at Amazon that we should have control of the patent to consider private label products. Is that true? So David, that's a good question. It's a question about patents, and my answer is you don't necessarily, you need to understand if your product has a patent and what that patent is and whether your product is violating that patent. So if you are actually selling a product that is patented, you could be in violation of a patent. And so you definitely want to be looking into that. And if your product does have a patent, then yeah, you need to have control of the patent to be able to sell the products. But that's really the same within anything. And you can hire a patent trademark attorney. I could recommend one to you if you want to connect with me. A lot of times getting around a patent is not as hard as you think. You just have to make some changes to the product. And so sometimes you can make enough changes that the patent doesn't matter anymore. And so just so those that don't understand, there's patents, there's trademarks, and there's copyrights. So patents are typically around the use or the functionality of a product. A trademark is going to be around the brand or the look of a logo or an image or a packaging. And copyright is going to be the copy within something that's written. So let's see. Dennis asked, what is Scope? So Scope is a new tool from Seller Labs. I would be happy to let you look at it on the 30-day free trial. What you're allowed to do on Scope is you enter in your ASIN or your competitor's ASIN, and we begin to track keywords for your ASIN. And so not just looking at the keywords that you're interested in, but we show you any keyword that you're currently ranking for. And it begins to collect that data, and then you can use that data over time to improve your product listing or run your PPC campaigns. And so one way that a lot of people use Scope is they'll enter in the ASINs of their products and of their competitors. They'll let it run for a couple of days, and then they'll use the keywords that are generated from the tool to begin to make product listing optimizations. So a great example is maybe you have a product that's targeting dinosaurs, but you didn't realize that some people also call dinosaurs dragons, and your product or your competitor's product is actually ranking for dragon. You can use that to then improve your listing, maybe a front-end keyword or a back-end keyword, or even your PPC campaigns. And we have customers who are driving really strong return on investments from finding new keywords to be bidding on. Let's see, David, I appreciate your comments, and he says that it confirms what he's heard from other sources about what's changing at Amazon. and be happy to answer any other questions. Or John, I think I've got everything in the chat room answered up to this point. So if there's nothing else, we can sign off. So I'll give you a second here to see. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with John, but I appreciate you all coming. I appreciate you all being here, and thank you for attending today's webinar, and look forward to connecting with you, and thank you for allowing me to share.